You really tricked me, Jason, and I mean that in the most positive way I can say.
I'm glad I tricked you. I'm happy that I tricked you.
Hi, Jason. My name is Ron Stockless, a radio host from Berlin, Germany.
Hi, Ron. Nice to see you.
I have to say, it's a pleasure talking to you about Stick. And I must say, before watching, I wasn't sure what to expect. Maybe something like Ted Lasso, obviously, as I think a lot of people will mention, funny and heartwarming, but with golf. But I ended up watching a show about human relationships, about parenting, about personal traumata. And you really tricked me, Jason, and I mean that in the most positive way I can say. How did you come up with the idea for this show about all these people we see on screen?
I'm glad I tricked you. I'm happy that I tricked you. I think this show really, the character of Pryce and this show really evolved, and there was always a desire and a goal for all of us to tell a deeply human story. I mean, yes, we wanted it to be fun when it was fun, and we wanted it to make you feel good and maybe laugh, but all of us included, or all of us involved in this show really wanted to tell real stories about real people. And we held each other to that. I think everybody involved in this show, the writers and the actors and the producers of the show, that was the common refrain: is are we going deeply into these characters? Are we telling real stories? Are these stories that we can relate to as humans on this planet? Can I connect personally to what Pryce is going through or what Mitz is going through? And so it really evolved, in that way.
Based on the human elements alone, I would say you could easily switch to another sports maybe. But why did you choose, in the end, golf as the main sport we see this whole story around?
Golf is unique in that maybe only tennis is the other sport, that comes to mind. I mean, that it is you and the sport. It's a singular sport in that way. And in that way, it is all about your mindset, and it's all about, emotionally how you're feeling in the moment. Tennis players certainly go through, all athletes go through this, but there's something that's uniquely solo about the game of golf or the sport of golf. And it just, that was interesting to me because, we're dealing with people who are going through things internally that we can't see. Each one of the characters are sort of wrestling with something, that is unknown to the people outside of them. And, a golfer is wrestling with demons and confidence and all of these things on the course. And it felt like a natural sort of snap, this story and the game of golf. And I just love the arena for that reason.
And it's not your first sports project. I have to say, following on from Ford versus Ferrari, this is your next sports-centered project story you tell. Coincidence, or do you like it when it's a sports story, but it's not about sports in the main part, but also about humans?
You just answered the question. I mean, you see it, Ron. It's sports there's a natural narrative to sports. Whether it's a car race or it's a baseball game or it's a football game, there's a beginning, oftentimes a struggle in the middle, and then there's an end. And I love that about sports and storytelling. And then you're right. I mean, you said it, in the second part of your question, it's really about the characters. It really doesn't matter what sport It is really, it could be highlight or surfing or golf. You know, if you're building real characters that are, you know, human and accessible and struggling in a way that we can relate to, that's really what's interesting, you know, about sports stories, you know.
And I have to say, you did that in a great way with Stick, and you touched me deeply on an emotional level. I have to say thank you, and I'm looking forward for more in the future.
Thanks, Ron. I appreciate you saying that. Thank you.